One of the case studies that we're going to discuss is to do with value-added services. And just to explain to listeners, this is these things where you get club cards and you get credit protection, and then you get little these bells and whistles that get added to your, it's very specific often to store cards. And I wanted to relate a story, Howard. I had somebody working for me, and she wanted to open up, I think in this case it was an Edgar's card. She wanted to buy her son a pair of shoes, and she said to me, well, I'm going to take out an Edgar's card, pay it off over 6 months. It's interest free, all the rest of it. I said to her, when you open it, make sure you do not sign up for any of these value-added services because they just add to the bill. And she said, absolutely. And she went in and she made sure that she didn't tick any of that. She said no to everything. First month statement comes, they've all been added on there. It has been a big industry problem. And you actually recently had a case, and it was an important case because it actually changed the way that, that the rules apply now.
Well, you're absolutely right. So what the value-added services is you have a store card, and then based on you have that store card, there are third parties that are now selling you services. So you could buy data, you could, in this particular case, there was some mobile subscription where you're getting SMSs from some mobile provider. Their credit life often would include a funeral policy. In one of the matters that we dealt with, the individual had 13 such items on that account. In the case we're talking about today, there were about 4 or 5 of these additional charges on the account. So what the key problem here was, when the consumer came to us, she was complaining that I'm paying my installments religiously every month, but my account is growing, my outstanding balance is increasing. And she could not understand why that is happening. What we then did is we investigated the matter, and we could see that the amount required by the credit provider to be paid every month do not take into account these additional services that must be paid. So it says what is the outstanding balance on the purchases you made in store for that dress or shoes or whatever, but it does not take into account these value-added services. So typically what happens is your outstanding amount, let's say, is 2,000 rands. You're paying whatever the credit provider says you must
Like
pay
300
to
rand a
pay
month,
it off over, say, 6 months. It's probably more like 400 rand. And then added onto that, then comes the 19 rand 99, the 29 rand, and so on. So what typically happens, you only pay the 400 rand, but there's these additional things that then push up. What was concerning to us is that interest is charged on the outstanding balance, which include these amounts. And that then we think is unfair to the consumer, because the credit provider do not require you to pay anything towards that, but they charge you interest on the outstanding amount. So we had quite a serious engagement with this particular credit provider, and in the end, the outcome of the matter was that we absolutely believed that the treatment of the consumer was not fair, and hence we ended up in an agreement where the credit provider refunded this person for certain of these obligations in the agreement. In fact, the total refund was about 10,000 rands. But more importantly, the credit provider agreed to change their policy and in future would make the consumer pay a bigger installment so that it avoids this problem of the account growing rather than coming down.